are testosterone levels actually declining in men today, or is that kind of been overblown by the media?
No, we're actually seeing a widespread decline in testosterone levels amongst men of pretty much all ages. Even the younger guys today we're seeing have much lower testosterone levels than their grandfather. So there's actually a saying, men today are not the men that their grandfather once was. And that's because there are many different factors playing a role here. Obviously, endocrine disrupting chemicals. There's a lot of research now indicating that we all have quite a significant amount of microplastics in our bodies. And so these microplastics can actually block the synthesis of testosterone and also block the receptors for testosterone. So they can't actually hit the receptor and perform its function. They're basically androgen receptor antagonists. So unfortunately, there are many different factors leading to lower levels of testosterone amongst men. The lack of sleep, the obesity, the crappy diets, the stressful lifestyles, EMF, pollution, heavy metal toxicity, mold exposure, nutrient deficiencies. The list really goes on and on.
Okay. And for someone like me, what is a healthy testosterone level and how do I measure that?
Yep. So the most accurate and reliable way to assess a man's testosterone levels is through a blood test. Just like you'd go to your doctor and request a testosterone panel, which would also include total testosterone and also free testosterone, and then also sex hormone binding globulin or SHBG. Now, a good level for someone like yourself, Andy, you're early 30s or late 20s?
No, thanks for that. I'm 40 next year.
Oh, wow.
So, cheers, the biohacking's paying off.
Yeah, I guess you should you should teach me something, I guess, because I'm the one who looks 40. So for someone like yourself, man, I would say testosterone levels around 750 to 800 nanograms per deciliter is ideal for you.
Mm-hmm. And that's because there is a slight decline, isn't there, as you get older? So
there is, yeah.
Is there a kind of trend to follow?
It's pretty common, man. Like a lot of people do see a decline after the age of 30. Most guys do start to see a bit of a decline. But I truly do believe with the right ingredients, the right supplements, the right lifestyle, the right nutrition, the right exercises, I think it's possible to maintain pretty high levels. In fact, I actually built out a comprehensive guide, like a full-on course. It's trtfree.com. So trtfree.com is a full rundown protocol for guys that want to optimize without being on TRT.
Oh, cool. And so if we look at testosterone specifically right now, you've mentioned that there's, obesity is a factor, EMFs are a factor, surrounding all different things that are contributing to low testosterone. But if you had to pick the biggest contribution to testosterone declines, what one out of those factors is it, do you think?
I would say, still going back to the obesity. Like if you look at the epidemiological studies, they're sort of saying that it's actually obesity because it increases inflammation. When you're carrying excess body fat, it increases inflammation. It's a real hormone disruptor being obese. But then second to that, if we're not looking at an obese population and we're looking at a guy who's healthy like yourself, who's not obese, then I would say stress and sleep would be also two big factors compromising testosterone.
Okay. And at what point do you think people should start looking at their testosterone? Should I have started way before now, or should I start in my 50s? When's the best point to look at testosterone?
I would actually recommend any guy, once he hits around 19 or 20 years of age, to do a testosterone panel, because I think about it like this, man. You want your testosterone levels to be sky high during those periods of your life in particular, because think about it. You're a little rookie. Like you've just come fresh out of high school. You got nothing under your belt. You haven't done anything with your life really. Like you haven't built a company or I guess like what I'm trying to say is you haven't got wins under the belt. And to get wins under the belt or wins behind you, you need testosterone. Testosterone fuels drive and motivation to win and to conquer. So, and obviously, if you're entering into the dating market, obviously you want to have high testosterone levels to attract a partner, because obviously that's gonna, like, women can detect guys that have high testosterone based on their pheromones. Like, there's studies backing this, and women will choose men that have higher testosterone.
Mm-hmm. So someone listening to this might think, okay, whether I'm going to look at my testosterone or not, testosterone sounds like a good thing. I want more of it. So I'm going to go out and get some TRT, some testosterone replacement therapy. Is that good advice, or is it a quick fix, or is it a long-term solution? Where does TRT fit into all of this?
So TRT, in my opinion, is a very effective way to boost testosterone, but it's not the first line of choice and the first point of call for most guys. And that is because they should be optimizing their natural production first. If they've exhausted every possible route, they've tried the supplements, they've tried the peptides, they've tried the lifestyle, they've tried everything, and their testosterone level still doesn't increase, then maybe TRT is suitable for them. But that's only really going to make up about 5 to 10% of the population. The rest of the guys out there should be dialing in all those other factors to optimize testosterone. Because if you look at it, low testosterone is a symptom of downstream, like, imbalances. So, or actually upstream imbalances. So it's a symptom of poor diet. It's a symptom of not enough exercise. It's a symptom of stress. It actually, your body won't produce testosterone if it doesn't get the right resources behind it.
And as with anything, I do supplements for different things, and I supplement NAD, but I don't actually supplement NAD. I try and work on the building blocks to create NAD. Same with stem cells. There's a good stem cell supplement out now, Stem Regen, which I use, and it's all about, rather than just implanting stem cells, it's more about, again, building on the blocks to rebuild your own stem cells. So do we look at this again with testosterone? Because, one of the things we hear quite a lot with people that are injecting testosterone or, even using steroids, that sort of thing, the risk is that the body kind of gets lazy later on in life and decides, I don't need to produce this thing anymore. So is that something we should all consider? And like you just mentioned, like working on the building blocks for it.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on, man. So this is a good point, Andy. So ideally, we want to be providing the body with the precursors it needs to synthesize testosterone. And so, for example, most guys, when they think of precursors, they'll think of zinc. And they'll think of zinc as, like, the main mineral for testosterone. Zinc is one of many minerals that's important for testosterone. It's just that when there's a zinc deficiency, the impact on testosterone is huge. Okay, it actually really does play a big role. It can drop testosterone levels by half, basically, if a guy's low in zinc. But if a guy's eating plenty of meat, seafood, oysters, organ meats, or even just beef or steak regularly, then there's a good chance he probably doesn't need to be mega dosing zinc. But there are many other ingredients that I really like that can actually jack up natural testosterone levels without many major side effects, and with the added benefit of it actually boosting fertility at the same time. Whereas with TRT, it's well known that TRT is a male contraceptive. It actually shuts down male fertility and also makes a man's balls shrink. So he basically will lose the size of his balls going on TRT.
And what's the biggest mistake that you see when people are trying to boost testosterone? So what's the first, the first roadblock to avoid if someone's thinking about boosting their testosterone?
The first roadblock to avoid is by going on Amazon and typing in testosterone boosting supplement and buying the top rated testosterone boosting supplement, because there's a good chance a lot of those ingredients in there are terrible and they're not going to really do much. They're not going to have much of an effect on testosterone. Two classic ingredients that you'll see a lot of guys think works but doesn't is one, tribulus, and the second one is maca powder. So those two, they do have benefits, but they won't actually boost testosterone levels dramatically. they have some other extra, like I was going to say extracurricular benefits. They have some other external benefits outside of testosterone.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned sleep. How big of a role does sleep play in testosterone levels? Because, is there an optimal amount of sleep? Like what kind of sleep? And, I know there's only one kind of sleep a lot of the time, but, it's how should we be optimizing that for our testosterone specifically?
Yeah. So there are studies showing, Andy, that if a guy sleeps 5 to 6 hours a night for about a week straight, his testosterone levels can drop by over 25%, which is pretty significant. And so when it comes to sleep, the most important thing is consistency and sticking to a routine, because you want your body to know when it's time to fall asleep and know when it's time to wake up. So ideally, most guys should be aiming for around 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Ideally, I think 8 hours is a good sweet spot for most guys. But then there is a cohort of the population that can get by on about 6.5 hours of sleep. There's a really small percentage of the population that can do that. But ultimately, I try and prioritize at least 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep every single night.
And when it comes to diet, so you mentioned meat and that sort of thing, is there specific proteins, like more calories, or even fasting when it comes to the diet? What's the best way, most effective way to increase testosterone through the diet?
Yeah, so basically do the exact opposite to what the news and the media channels tell us about food. So that is, the best foods to boost testosterone are meat, specifically saturated fats such as steak, butter, seafoods like oysters, shellfish, fresh wild caught salmon, eggs obviously are an absolute staple. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil is fantastic. Macadamia nuts, Brazil nuts. Actually, there's a type of nut called tiger nuts. Tiger nuts actually have some really cool research behind them to boost testosterone. And then also certain veggies like onions. So onions actually have a beneficial effect on protecting the testes. So there's a range of different foods. The ones that I would recommend men avoid, first of all, don't be a soy boy. Okay, drinking soy milk is not a good idea.
Soy boy.
I
like that term.
Yeah. So stay away from soy milk because it's high in it's phytoestrogens. And then even worse than that is actually beer. So beer contains hops, which is a really strong phytoestrogen, and that's also not great for men as well.
It's interesting you mentioned beer because it's obviously perceived as such a matching drink to have, and actually the guys don't realize, but that's directly impacting their testosterone levels as well as multiple other things that beer does. So yeah.
Well,
avoid it where you
can. Beer actually makes a man more feminine. It actually can increase the chances of developing gyno, which is man boobs. And it can also, again, shrink the gonads as well, which is, not ideal if you're trying to impress.
No one likes a small set of balls. That one's going to get clipped up.
Just say it straight up. Yeah. Spot on.
So we'll talk about some tech later on in this episode, but there's a couple of trends online that I wanted to bring up with you to see if there's any clout in them. So, one of which is icing your testicles whilst in a sauna. We see Brian Johnson doing that quite frequently and talking about it. Is there something to that? And what's the reasons behind that?
Yeah, so both Brian Johnson and Paul Saladino saw my video about this first, and I wish they gave me credit for it, but I was actually the first online to be saying that men should be icing their nuts when they're jumping into a sauna. And there is legitimate science behind that because heat exposure, hot climates, and specifically heat to the testes can actually reduce fertility and also affect testosterone production. So ideally, men should be keeping their balls pretty cool and just use an ice pack. like not up against the skin. Don't burn your skin on your balls, guys. Everyone listening in, you want to put the ice pack up against your jocks or your underwear, and just keep them cool like that.
Mm-hmm. And another one I saw online, which is kind of done a bit of a flip flop, but the first time I saw it was to expose your balls to a red light panel, saying how good this is. But then I've recently seen some more videos. You never know what to trust online these days, saying that far infrared or near infrared, from the red light panels is no good for testicles. So what's your thoughts on exposing them to red light panels or red light devices?
Yeah, so I think there is some benefit to doing it, but I think most guys are overdosing. So I think it should just be like a really small amount of time on the testes, like the exposure to the testes from the red light. It's kind of like with sun exposure. You've heard sunning your balls. That's like that was also trending at one stage. Again, I think a lot of those guys who are doing that were overdoing it, just too long in the sun. You just need a really small amount of time just to spark the testes, give it a little bit of a pulse, to kickstart production. Like I'm talking like 3 to 5 seconds.
And you hope that they've got privacy in their gardens, these guys as well.
Absolutely.
Bit of morning sunlight exposure. No neighbours overlooking.
Yeah, make sure you've got some good privacy in your backyard, lads.
Yeah. So let's talk about some supplements. What do you actually think are worth supplementing when it comes to testosterone, and which ones do you think are completely overhyped?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I've actually got a pretty comprehensive T-Boost testosterone boosting supplement coming out in about 6 weeks' time, which I've been formulating. Oh man, it's taken over 12 months to get this formula down pat. And bear in mind that in the lead up to this product that I've created, I've been actually prescribing protocols to guys for many, many years. Because I'm a naturopath by background, I've run the blood work on like over 500 different clients across the globe. So I know what's actually had an impact on testosterone levels and which ingredients are complete BS. So throughout that time, I basically shortlisted a range of different ingredients that I thought were ideal to satisfy that criteria. And then I decided to also incorporate other ingredients that do not have scientific research that proves that it boosts testosterone. But there's a reason why I've included it in the formulation. And it's because when you ask a guy, why are you taking a testosterone booster? The top 3 responses are, I want to build more muscle, I want better energy, and I want better libido. They're the top 3 benefits that a lot of guys want. They want building muscle, they want better energy, and they want higher libido. So in my formulation, I've satisfied that criteria by including a range of different ingredients. Now, bear in mind, because something improves, let's say, muscle growth, it doesn't necessarily mean that it can help with testosterone. Like because you can build muscle through other vectors and other pathways in the body. You can build muscle through growth hormone, through IGF-1, through reducing or like modulating cortisol to a degree. So if you look at the ingredients that I've included in the formula, I won't disclose every single one because there's 8 ingredients in the product that I've created, but I'll name off a couple of them now because people will be familiar with them. Boron is the first one. So boron at a dosage of 10 milligrams can actually do something really cool inside the body. It can actually decrease SHBG, which is sex hormone binding globulin. When you decrease sex hormone binding globulin, you actually free up and liberate testosterone. So it increases free testosterone levels. And so the second ingredient as well, beyond that supports testicular health, is actually a herb from Malaysia called Tonka Ali. Now, Tonka Ali was huge after Dr. Andrew Huberman mentioned it on the Joe Rogan podcast. Tonka Ali sales went through the roof. But I knew about Tonka Ali like 7-8 years ago. And that ingredient has some really cool effects on fertility, testosterone, energy, stress, mood. So there are a couple of the ingredients that I've included in my product. But there are some others which can actually do a really good job as well.
Mm-hmm. And is there any out there that, so we'll talk a little bit more about yours as well. What was the name of your brand? Sorry.
Yeah, so my supplement brand is called In Before, INB4. So it's spelled IN and then B and then the number 4, In Before.
Mm-hmm. And is that available now, or is that,
is
that very close? Okay, it's available now. So good. We'll leave a link to that underneath this episode.